Hey YouTubers, Snap-on John 100 here, and I'm getting ready to do disc brakes on my wife's Hyundai Accent. But first, I have a confession to make. You see my hair? My hair was coal black last time I was doing videos because I was spoofing my wife before our anniversary. I had my hair dyed jet black because she'd never seen it. My hair's completely silver and she'd never seen anything other than that. But when I was a little kid, my hair was coal black. It wasn't brown, dark brown, it was jet black. So anyway, I dyed it like that just kind of to spoof her. So if you noticed that all of a sudden I was aging like astronomically fast, that was what it was for. It was growing out. Anyway, so what we're going to do today, first thing we need to do is to find a suitable floor jack to jack up the front end. The most important thing is that you jack it up and you put it under the, let's see if I can get a shot of that. You want to jack it up and put it on the rested on the cradle. Okay. I might just have to talk you through that one, but the unibody construction is the kind of car they have nowadays, and the engine and transmission rests on what's called, the term is called subframe. Their nickname is cradle. So you want to put the cup of the floor jack on the front end of the cradle so that you're lifting on the solid part of the car. And then once we get this jacked up, the next thing we gotta do is put a set of good jack stands underneath both sides so that we're not relying on just the floor jack. Then we have to take these lug nuts off. So I'm going to be doing all that off camera, but I'm using my half-inch drive impact. The socket is a 21 millimeter. The studs are the studs are 12 by 1.5 millimeters. If you're working on an Asian car, the size of the socket you're going to need for that same stud is 21 millimeter. If it's an American car, it's going to be 19 millimeter. But the stud is exactly the same, so the inside thread of the lug nut is also 12 by 1.5. And if you're working on a German car, same stud is going to have a 17 millimeter lug nut or some other. But anyway, we're going to do those. We're going to jack the car up and get started. YouTubers. Alright, YouTubers, we're going to be doing replacement of front disc brakes on a Hyundai Accent. And as you can see, I've got the floor jack up under the subframe or cradle, which is the solid part of the car that the engine and transmission rests on. Jack that up. I put two jack stands under the sides of the cradle, or it's the same, cradle and subframe are the same thing. And because it's front wheel drive, instead of setting the parking brake, I put chocks behind the wheels. Okay, just so it won't roll backwards. Alright, next is taking these lug nuts off. Okay, sometimes what you have to do is get the pry in here with a pry bar, or you can just pull with your arm if you're strong enough and compress that piston so that then this becomes loose. Okay, once you've done that, this thing will just rotate out of the way, and then you get to see what's going on in there. Okay, so now this just slides off this pin, and then you can just let it flop over here. It's better not to let it hang by the you don't want this to hang. This is so heavy that you don't want it really hanging by the brake line. What you can do is get some wire or a bungee and fasten it up. Okay, and now you can see better here the 17 mil bolts in here. Let's see if I can. There's one right there, and the other one is right here. Okay, that's the other one. Okay, now what I'm taking those out with is a 1/2-inch drive. The 12 I used a 3/8 drive impact. I'm using a flex-headed 17 mil 1/2-inch drive socket because it's easier to get in there. The flex head keeps the gun away from all this other stuff here. So I'm going to do that now. Okay. I got the caliper cradle right here is off. That's where the calipers reside, and those are the pads reside, and there's the 2 pads. Okay, they're all off. The next thing to do is to pull off the disc. Most of the time you've got to whack the disc to break this rust, but if you do it yourself all the time, like this one's loose, because last time I did, I put anti-seize all the way around it, so now I don't have to work so hard. Okay, the disc is off, and you want to clean up the surface of the hub. This silver stuff is anti-seize, and that's what makes it come off easily. Okay, so you want to clean this off with some sandpaper or something. I'm going to use a die grinder, a right-angle die grinder with a fiber cookie, just because it's faster. But you want to use most people could use sandpaper. Okay, just get that cleaned off, and then you want to prepare the disc. I'm going to go do that right now. Here is the die grinder I'm going to be using. It's an angle die grinder, and this is the fiber cookie. Okay, it's a glass substance. Okay, that's what I'm going to be used to cleaning that off. So now what we're going to do, just open these up. Okay, here's a new rotor, and it's in a plastic bag, and it's also got cosmoline or some sort of greasy stuff on it. It has to be removed before you use it. I'm going to do one just so you can see what I'm doing. You need to use brake cleaner and a cloth. So here's the brake cleaner. I want to be sure you're careful you don't get this sprayed on your face. Don't want it in your eyes. So you just rub this surface off. I don't go down in here. I leave it on there because I don't want this thing rusting anyway. But we do this so that the pad is not being lubricated. You don't want a lubricant in the pad area, or between the pad and the rotor. So we're just cleaning that off. Use brake cleaner because it doesn't leave a residue when it dries. Okay? Now that's it for that one. Now, my secret for, well, I'm going to do this off camera because this gets everywhere. So you have to be really careful with it because it's got silver, some sort of silver stuff in it, and you'll find it everywhere once, you know, you think your hands are clean. So this is what it is, Permatex Anti-Seize Lubricant. Okay, and I put it all over this whole inside surface here, dab it around there and around here, and then that keeps the rotor from sticking because it doesn't, if you didn't have that on there. Alright, now I got the rotor on. I put a lug nut on it just to hold it up against here.